Hello. Pastor Tim Keller is putting up some excellent talks on YouTube at the moment. They're designed to help his listeners through these dark and difficult times. The video attached to this post is called Easter in a Year of Death, and I'd highly recommend it. As the curate at St Hilary's Church, Wallasey, I'm frequently confronted by death. Obviously when I'm taking funerals and praying with the dying. Just this week, 2 of my dear friends have lost close family. I cycle round to their houses to deliver condolence cards, and despite the fact these are believers, the grief seemed raw. Some things about Tim's latest talk struck me. He quoted a much-loved English poet, George Herbert, who was the 17th century parish priest. He said, "Death used to be an executioner, but the gospel has made him just a gardener." Isn't that wonderful? Herbert was articulating the Christian hope that I tried to bring to a congregation of just 5 at the crematorium last week. I was explaining that the bodily resurrection of Jesus is a historical event. It is hard to find any alternative explanation when you read accounts that were written down within 100 years or 1 generation of the events they describe. Tim also quotes verses of scripture that St Paul used when speaking to the Corinthian Christians. He pointed out that Paul uses a historical technique of addressing death as a person. Death, where is your sting? It's as if Paul is making fun of death. It's almost as if Paul had read Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels, which are very funny fantasy fiction. Death turns up unexpectedly, and he always speaks in capital letters. We know, of course, that death is no laughing matter. It is wreaking havoc at the moment across societies and families that are used to hiding it away, trying not to speak about it. In more normal times, it seems that way, sanitized in nursing homes and hospitals, but now it seems everywhere. When we were making arrangements over the phone for this last funeral I was conducting, the widow was clearly devastated that only 5 people could come to the crematorium. So I arranged for her neighbours to stand on their doorsteps when the cortege arrived at her house. I'd seen that in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. St Paul argues that if Jesus was raised bodily, then we can hope to be raised like that too. He says this, "Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep with him." He taught that for a believer, death is not the end. It takes us to a heavenly resting place until heaven comes on earth, and the dead will have renewed bodies just like those of Jesus's, and they will return to a renewed earth. Now that sounds like good news, doesn't it?